If you're watching this, Aaron Donald has officially retired from the NFL. Before we dive into this, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let's start this show. Also, be sure to follow me on social media at JKBogan. Let's start this show. So, the unfortunate news that I have had bottled up, wasn't able to say, known about it for a while. I warned you there's going to be something big. A lot of you ran whatever with that. It turned into kind of a whole big thing, in the Discord, even that kind of open-ended quote tweet I had about how it's going to be, what is it? I said franchise altering. Anytime your best player on your team retires, it's franchise altering. And I feel like people looked at this and were like, yeah, I think they're going to get somebody big. I think they never, some people probably got it right in their minds and whatnot. And some people probably thought the worst because that's just the way our brains work. But for the most part, I think a lot of people thought that this was going to be some big signing, and that's not the case. Unfortunately, Aaron Donald is retiring from the NFL at age 32. He's going to be 33 in May, and he's going out on his own terms. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I have to respect it. I mean, he's played 10 years in the NFL, have to respect it. I really feel like he's leaving, and this is going to be like kind of a tribute to him, this video. We're also going to be talking about what comes after, but the important thing to note here is that I need to make my stance. I have a platform, and I owe it to you guys to give you my actual thoughts on this. And to be honest with you, I love AD, and I am going to get into why I love AD so much and why I'm, one of those day one guys. Before he was drafted by the Rams, that's who I wanted. But I disagree with him hanging it up now. I understand you can get out with, your health and everything, and I get that. But I think this guy genuinely could have another 10 years of play the way he goes. Now, realistically speaking, he has at least another 3. And another thing here is while Matthew Stafford is still playing and Cooper Kupp's still playing, and you're that close, why would you want to go out on a loss to the Lions? A controversial loss when you knew your team was going to be better next year because you had money to spend. That's the frustrating thing. But don't let my thoughts take away the career and the tribute that Aaron Donald's about to get in this video. Donald will be a 100% unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer in 5 years' time. No doubt about it. When he is eligible, he will go in. He finishes his illustrious career with 154 games played, 790 pressures, 111 sacks, 24 forced fumbles, and 543 tackles. He was a 10-time Pro Bowler, 8-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Fame All-2010s team, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I could definitely make a case he was snubbed twice for Defense Player of the Year. At the very least, Khalil Mack, because he was on the better team, and Stephon Gilmore absolutely should have won it over him. He was drafted 13th overall by the St. Louis Rams in 2014. I'll never forget it because of the 12 teams that passed him up, one of them was the Rams picking Greg Robinson at pick 2, one of the biggest busts in Rams history. Now, they passed on, undersized, 6'1", 280-pound, ultra-athletic defensive tackle from the ACC, but they're not the only team that passed on him. Anyway, he played all 10 years with the Rams, and he was predominantly known while he was playing. People called Tom Brady the GOAT, but I think a lot of people realized Aaron Donald was truly the best player in the league when he was in it. In the playoffs, Donald had 6 sacks in 11 games and is most known for forcing a game-winning turnover on downs, on Joe Burrow against the Bengals in the Super Bowl to win the Super Bowl, and forcing Jimmy Garoppolo in the NFC title game to throw an errant interception to send the Rams to the Super Bowl and beat the 49ers at SoFi Stadium in the NFC title game. 8099 is going to have a statue outside of SoFi. No doubt about it. He is going to have a statue. It's probably going to be the one where he's pointing to his ring finger. It's sad to see a man so dominant, though, walk away when he clearly has plenty left in the tank. It's also painful to see AD walk away when the Rams are clearly on the cusp of another long playoff run. AD also confirmed he would be back with the team in 2024 after the loss to the Lions. But again, things change. I wouldn't even be shocked to see AD change his mind. Not at all. If he decided to return to the NFL after this year, said he missed too much, wouldn't be surprised. He has that competitive fire in him. That's why I think we're all so shocked to see him leave so early. It's easy for us to sit here and be upset for him leaving, walking away, but he's walking away with his life intact. No major injuries. He dodged all of them. A full life ahead with generational wealth that will allow his kids and the rest of his family to live without any worry. See, those are the points of sacrifices like this. AD put his body on the line. He walks away with a lasting legacy of dominance. He gets to enjoy the rest of his life being retired by age 33. Most cannot say the same. I appreciate Aaron Donald. He was somebody I wanted in the 2014 NFL draft. Very much so. He was my favorite prospect. His tape coming out of Pittsburgh was one of the single most dominating displays of talent I have ever seen in my life. I remember there was a certain play against Duke where he didn't know who had the ball, but he got in the backfield so quickly on a read option, he grabbed both the quarterback and the running back and sacked them both. When the Rams selected Donald, they knew they had made the pick of the draft. I knew they had made the pick of the draft. I remember I was surprised when the Giants, who had just lost Linval Joseph to free agency at defensive tackle, passed on the defensive tackle Aaron Donald and went with wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. Now, at the time, I was a big fan of Odell as a prospect. Not as much as I would end up being when he got to the NFL, but to see a team that had a legit weakness, a hole left behind, losing a guy like Linval Joseph in free agency, and having an opportunity to replace him with Aaron Donald and not doing it, that was a blessing. The Rams were able to get him at pick 13, and the rest is history. So, what comes after this? I think it's a fair question to ask. Depending on the numbers, after a likely restructure, they're going to pivot towards the future without AD in the trenches. This is going to test the secondary and first-year defensive coordinator Chris Shula a lot. However, I wouldn't bail on this team just yet. As a matter of fact, while AD is one of the game's best ever, the Rams have plenty of offensive talent. They went out and they added Jonah Jackson to an offensive line that on paper is looking like one of the best in football. They have Matthew Stafford still playing, coming off, the way he played at the end of the season. You have to feel great about him. Kyron Williams being the second best running back in football, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, the addition of Colby Parkinson. When Higbee comes back, that's also a thing, and Davis Allen. But it's not just the offensive talent. I think they have a lot of unproven yet highly skilled players in their defense. You talk about guys like Kobe Turner. You talk about Byron Young. You talk about guys like Quentin Lake. Who knows with Kobe Durant? I mean, we saw him in his rookie year, looked like a superstar in the making, had a bad sophomore slump. How does he respond in year 3? You have plenty of guys like that. Ernest Jones, right? So, with that said, this was the big news, okay? Sadly, AD is no longer your starting defensive lineman for the Los Angeles Rams. Instead, he's one of the greatest players in NFL history and one of the greatest Rams of all time, who has now called it quits. Look for Kobe Turner to take up the mantle here, and a player who made significant strides in his rookie year. A player not only who made significant strides, was snubbed from being Defensive Rookie of the Year, but also had the legend Aaron Donald himself take him under his wing. This could certainly lead to the Rams changing their defensive approach, so don't be surprised if they start changing their philosophy. What Aaron Donald was able to do is hide a lot of the different things that maybe a secondary was lacking. Aaron Donald allowed defensive coordinators to be a little bit more aggressive because they knew they had that guy in the middle to push the pocket. It is going to be tougher without Donald. No doubt about it. It also means the Rams could go after players in the draft like Jerzon Newton or Tavondre Sweat out of Texas. This does allow the Rams to retool their roster however they want. Because I don't know, I recorded this before the official numbers came out. I'm probably on the road on my way to Florida. So if you're watching this, just know I'm probably in a car on my way to Florida on vacation. But assuming that this is a fair restructure, Aaron Donald is going to free up about $30 million in cap space. That's a lot of money to play with and a lot of opportunity there for the Rams to kind of do whatever they want with that money and kind of retool their roster. I'll end it with this. I think AD is leaving a potential second Lombardi trophy on the cutting floor. I do not count this Rams team out, not after last year, despite the fact AD won't be there. It may feel like the end of the world hearing this news. We have learned to never count out this organization. I don't think we can start counting them out now. So, not the video you ever want to post. A legend like Aaron Donald, somebody who's still so very good. He's not a guy that is over the hill. He's not a guy that's 38, 39, 40 years old. He's retiring at 32. And he's retiring not after he won the Super Bowl. He's retiring right before the Rams could potentially win another one. It's important, though, to be respectful of his decision. At the end of the day, he lives his life. If he wants to retire the way he is right now, he's going out on top. I can't hate him for it. But I will say, I am very bummed, but I'm optimistic, and I'm almost excited. It's almost a bittersweet feeling because it's going to make it that much sweeter if the Rams are able to climb the mountaintop, even without Aaron Donald, and hoist up the Lombardi trophy, a second for Sean McVay, a second for Matthew Stafford, and a second for Cooper Kupp. So, AD, I doubt you're going to see this, and I don't know if Erica is going to see this, and I don't know if any of your family is going to see this. But if you do, I want to let you know, thank you. From a kid in upstate New York that has watched you since I graduated high school, okay? I graduated high school in 2014. I remember being so stoked for Aaron Donald out of Pitt, a guy that, like myself, has always been called undersized. Well, guess what? I didn't play professional sports, so it doesn't matter. But seeing a trailblazer like you do what you were able to do when everyone said you were undersized. Oh, I'm not going to drag. He's too small for a defensive tackle. You are a trailblazer because now, because of what you were able to do, other guys are able to do what you're doing. And that's special. So thank you. It was a lot of fun watching you, going back to just the days in St. Louis, watching you develop into by far the best player in football, the most dominant player in football, watching you cap off a Super Bowl win, an NFC title win, watching you have some of the craziest, simply craziest tape I've ever seen in my life. The get off, the swim moves, the jump chops, the triple teams, the quadruple teams. 99, there will never be another player like you. And we're going to hear it all the time, every draft. Ooh, he could be the next Aaron Donald. Hell, we heard it before. There is no Aaron Donald. There's only one. No one is ever going to be what Aaron Donald is. There might be guys like Chris Jones that do it pretty well and are among the best in the league. There might be guys like Fletcher Cox that are very good and they get overlooked because AD. There might be guys like Geno Atkins, who honestly was really, really good before AD. There might be guys like Dexter Lawrence, but there's not going to be an Aaron Donald. A 6'1", 280-pound guy with barely any body fat on him, a freaking 8-pack. And when you look at just the work ethic, there won't be anybody matching that. So it's a bummer. It's a bummer to see you go. It's a bummer to see Aaron Donald go. But all good things must come to an end. And with that said, the Rams still have plenty of work to do. So let's get started.